joins. All right, cool. So we're gonna go over some no-gi stuff first, and if we have time, get into some gi later. Looks like we had some packed mats tonight. Some new visitors. We got Kurt and Aiden front and center. There are no warm-ups on Twitch that Peters can skip. Yeah, we'll just assume he'll be 5 minutes late. And we'll tell him that Brandon, who he's rolling with right now, beat his ass while he wasn't looking. Alright, we got Steven and I think Austin in the back. Peters was going over this footage earlier and said that there were like 4 matches going on at just about any given time. So let's see, where can we focus? So it looks like Kurt was trying to work kind of a dorsal Kimura position on Aiden there for a second, but Aiden did wise to hide his arm. And before I forget, I noticed on the last stream some things that got down into the corner were obscured by mine and or Michael's beautiful faces. So if that starts happening in chat, just let me know. I'll just move the screen around as I need to, but missed a bunch of good points of me like doing a sweep, so I didn't get to brag in front of all of you.
What up?
What's going on, Mike? Let's get you on. There we go. There he is.
Hey.
Cool. So yeah, you weren't lying. A lot of matches going on. I might
Dude, yeah, there's a ton.
move you around for a bit. There we go. Oh, it looks like Aiden's trying something cool. Trying to enter legs one way or another on Kurt. I can't really see much more than that down here in the corner.
Unfortunately, they go off screen here, but something happens. I think Kurt winds up getting him. But I can't tell from what. They reset here shortly.
Okay.
We got Joe in the back there with Caleb, and that's actually, it's a really fun one to watch. A lot of action. Joe is like constantly pressing, pushing the pace like he normally does. He's like, squeezing from here a little bit, trying to drive that shoulder pressure in, which is nice.
Yeah, Caleb needs to be doing a bit more to escape that position. I mean, it sucks having somebody drive their shoulder into your face. It was a well-timed little roll, but I'd like to see a bit more hip engagement there as far as him like blocking hips, trying to get to his side, trying to elbow escape or hip escape.
Yeah, and that pass, like I don't know, having been triangle choked in comp from doing a half-assed heavy pass like that, I'll never do that again, and I'll always advise, like your opponent should always clear the legs for you as you're trying to stack, like that.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm really happy with the amount that we'll see in this beautiful butterfly sweep from Joe.
Yeah. What were you gonna say? We'll come back to that.
No, the amount of like hand fighting and gripping exchanges that you'll see in this video, like it just makes me so happy that no one's hazardly allowing somebody to get grips on them,
right?
And do what they want with them, with their opponents. It's just good to see.
Yeah, I want to come back to this sweep real quick. So, because Joe and I were talking about this at the end of class on Monday, and here is a good example of him executing the sweep a little bit better. He still kind of falls to his back, which we kind of diagnosed as one of his primary issues with this. The other being, you know, some may call it a problem, some may not, but the fact that he uses both butterfly hooks as opposed to withdrawing, you know, what would be his bottom leg, in this case his left leg, and using it as a power foot to elevate his hips. So we went over that a lot, but this is a much better form on this than I think one of the ones we went over in the past, where he just kind of like went up, elevated the guy's hips, and then came straight back down. So just kudos to Joe on that one. You can see he gets to his side. If he tucked his elbow in here, that'd be a little bit better. You know, I'm sure he does it like as he goes into the roll. But you should really emphasize just falling to your side, not falling to your back and then rolling. Just falling straight to his shoulder with a really tight overhook. Skip ahead.
We got
Kurt emerging from a war.
Right. We've got in the back left corner, right, we have who is that? That's James and Cole. Then we've got Steven and Austin.
Yeah, and then Jason and maybe Jason. A couple
Yeah,
Jasons.
maybe. Yeah.
You were in
Steven
everybody's
doing
way.
his cartwheel passing.
Oh, did he hit one again? I missed it.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of the I'll say like the Jeff Glover
Yeah.
type passes, which I love to see. Like I think I was actually telling them, or like him and a couple other people, like visited Victory. I like one of the times that I had trained there, one of Jeff Glover's black belts was teaching at the time.
Oh,
And
at Victory?
What's that? At Victory.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think the guy's name is Brian. But anyway, he had us drilling this pass over and over for like 10 or 15 minutes. It was just drilling to where you head on one side and hop over to the other side of the person's legs.
Yeah.
And we showed that, and sure enough, if Steven's not doing it, then very next class, like over and over.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah, I mean, you can tell he goes almost up, basically up to the shoulder line, which is
Yeah.
really, like, you got to go up that far to really make that pass work without the guy regarding. Yeah, he did it to me a few weeks back, and it pissed me off. And I know Steve's in the chat, so, well, my arm's better. I'm gonna cartwheel pass you so hard.
Just do it to your right side.
Yeah. Alright, so me and Aiden here in the center. Looks like you and Caleb. Got Kurt and Ronnie in the foreground. So, definitely watch your posture, guys, if you're going to be playing the game that Aiden just started playing. So, let's go back real quick. So, I just sat to guard. He starts coming down. Looks like he maybe wants to, you know, use his head to pressure me down, you know, pressure into my chest, put me on my back. But you can't be lazy there. And if you do it too slow, I'm just gonna rip it once I get it. So I think I start to like mess with the guillotine here. I switch it up to just flip him off of me. So those passes that he's trying to work on me, he just didn't really have enough influence on my legs. You talked about like the gripping exchange earlier. You know, it's not always hand to hand. Like he's got to be able to post to my legs, immobilize me a bit, or work, you know, an up the center kind of pass.
Yeah, I mean, and if you can't pin the leg or you know, get to the legs, you have to pin hips, right? Which is arguably harder than trying to mess with exchange on the legs, right? So
here I'm just bullying him a bit. So I just want to point this out, 'cause this is something I like to do a lot of times when guys we're like fighting that posture battle. So he's tucked his arm here, which, you know, makes it I mean, I'm not in a good spot for a triangle, like anywhere near a finish on this triangle. But when I want to get that arm out, I could either try to dig it out with my arms, right, which is kind of a losing battle. I don't really have much good leverage there. Or I use my hips to just take the guy over, right? If he's committed to hiding that arm, I do what you see here, which is take him over, right? He's got his arms clasped behind my back. He's not going to let that arm out. So he either has an option to go onto his back into a mounted triangle, which is a bad spot to be, or unclasp his hands in this case, or unhide that arm and base out to prevent getting rolled over. When he bases out, you can scoop that arm and do with it what you want. Use it to help you cut your angle, or to stop him from preventing you cutting your angle. Or you can attack, like an urikatami, like that inverted straight arm bar, some call it. Or more easily attack the wrong way triangle, right? But when you get into a mounted triangle situation, you leave your nose wide open, and I just kind of plug it and make you look stupid there. So sorry, Aiden, but had to do it to you.
So here on the roll with me and Caleb is successful on this pass, and he actually is doing what I often advise. Like, he's shoving my knee to my nose. I'm doing my best to try and block the hips, but
yeah,
point, it's a losing battle. Like, I have to relinquish.
Yeah, that was good. Did what you said, driving your knee towards your face, making it kind of miserable, making you want to give up the pass. Steven had a nice little entrance to cross Ashi.
Yeah.
On Brandon. Or not, I'm sorry, not Brandon.
James.
Not James, yeah. Cool, real cool. Heel hook and a white belt. Let's go back to that. So he's working that deep half with the low knee shield, scoops the leg. James rolls out, and Steve kind of rolls with it, ends up in cross Ashi, and then here it's just a matter of breaking the legs open. Oh, that wasn't a heel hook. He just got the straight ankle lock on the cross side leg.
Trouble.
Yeah. And I just keep bullying Aiden.
That's a nice double by James.
Let's see. Let's go back to that. Yeah, a little bit of a reach. I'd like to see a bit more of a shot on that, James. But you got right behind the knees and kind of went into him, so. And James, I don't know. I know you're in the chat too. I don't know how much you've done with wrestling in the past, but like working on those penetration steps for setting up those singles and doubles is an easy enough thing to do. It's one of the easiest solo things you can rep out. But next time I'm at class and you're there, I can just show you easy ways to brush up on that. And yeah, zero experience, right? So it's this is a simple one that you can put in some effort and get some pretty big gains back for setting that up. So we'll brush up on your wrestling entrances there. So I'm looking for an ankle pick on Aiden here. That's kind of why I was sitting up there for a second, swiping at his legs. To no avail. He got down, kept his legs away from me, and was just trying to pressure into me again. So yeah, notice it hit another guillotine and another sweep. And I'm not really looking to finish those guillotines. A lot of times it's often just to get the sweep because the guillotine's pretty quickly defended. feel bad for John standing back here. I think this was his first class or something, but he's a killer wrestler and built like a house. So I'm sure he was jonesing to roll with somebody. My arm was.
Yeah, he rolled with me next.
Okay, yeah. My arm was super bad that night. I was like, there's no way I'm handling someone his size right now.
He's a force. I think past guard.
Speaking of, just another point of note. So with Aiden here, I'm working against his seated guard right now. And I'm kind of right there I'm gauging distance, trying to decide how I want to work a pass or whatever. You guys know I like to try to get a leg up the middle, go up center. In this case, I used the third option, right? We have loose passing, tight passing, and then passing with the threat of a submission. So honestly, you can't even call it a snap down, but the same principle of a snap down is just getting the head, putting the basketball in the hoop, right? Starting to attack a guillotine, but a front headlock, and then getting around to that left side while his arm was probably trying to attack my grip and then taking us back. So another good option for immediately getting to the back. I think time's running low, so I'm probably just trying to get super close to the strangle so that I can do it with like seconds remaining. Yeah. There it is. Alright, yeah, so you and John.
This was fun. We had a ton of pressure, but after I finished him, I didn't want to roll with him again.
Yeah. Hopefully we can catch some of it. We got Kurt and Sam in the foreground.
He was asking me about my knee, why I was starting down. I told him my knee was hurting. So I immediately, whenever somebody saw me like putting their hands above my shoulder to start this pass, I'm immediately starting the shoulder crunch to make them uncomfortable. Yeah. I mean, if he tries to extend away, I can finish. But really, all I'm trying to do is make him so uncomfortable that I'm starting to get him off balance.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something we see again. I think Blake watched one of our recent episodes and was dogging on me for picking on wrestlers, but it's not customary for them to fight from a closed guard like this, so they often get their arms up into places like that, up around the shoulders where they don't really know any better. But the primary thing you want to do when you're in somebody's guard is break their guard, not try to work a submission. You learn pretty quickly you're not going to hit an Americana from within someone's guard, and reaching up around the head north of the shoulders isn't really going to lead to much that I can think of. But that's just something you learn the hard way, like crossing your legs when you're on someone's back. You skipped around your guard pretty fast there once you got the legs open.
Yeah, I'm attacking the shoulder still.
Pins your leg.
He pushes down on my far leg and then jumps right around. It's a flaw in the way that I'm attacking. I should have both my legs wrapped around, but I was very lazy with my left leg here. But I also, I had him in a heel hook here, but I asked him, I'm like, what belt, like, you belted at all? Like, I couldn't tell. He moved so well,
Yeah.
Belt, and I was like, all right, so I let go. And I pursue.
No, so this is a minor detail that some people might gloss over, but I mean, so Mike got it. You got your guard passed here. He's circling around at the back, but an option for guard retention is inversion, right? That's a part of a tool in your kit for getting back to guard. And you can see here, right? You just kind of invert up, and in doing so, you end up isolating a leg. So, this is a case of where getting your guard back doesn't look like going back into full guard. It can be immediately transitioning into a very offensive position here, right? In this case, an outside ashi. And yeah, he kind of like went to scoop for your legs there, so I could see why you'd be like, oh, okay, I'll attack.
I was like, all right, we can go ahead and finish this now. And then he was like, no, I'm not. And I'm like, all right, we got to keep going then.
Yeah. I think I skipped too far ahead.
But now I really have I can start throwing people from that underneath position.
Yeah.
But again, he starts reaching over. I feel like at this point I'm trying to sweep, but again, a common wrestler thing is for him to put his hip so far back.
Right.
Makes it very difficult to sweep, and I have to put my legs on his knees in order to start the action of sweeping.
Yeah.
That was another slight detail around how I like a lot of my guard retention, especially when my knees are feeling up to it. Like, wrestling up is a good way to maintain control and continue to yeah, so here I actually pop, and it scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, so that's sketchy.
I'd never
not from you.
Yeah, I'd never heard an arm sound like celery before it popped, and it popped like hard too.
Let's take a look at that. So, yeah, this is that Urigatami, straight armbar or inverted armbar. You often see from like either a clamp position. You've got this kind of looser leg position on him, but his arm is so extended that it's it's in there. And yeah, the finishing details on this, just for those watching, like it's hard to see from this point of view, but once you get that his elbow locked into place, Mike's got his shoulder pinched to his head, trapping John's wrist here, and then kind of the idea is to do a sit-up, right, or crunch in, where you're taking your head towards his head, and in the worst cases, your hips are like a bit more elevated off the mat. You're just using up all that negative space between your chest and the inside of his elbow to just snap his arm at that point. So yeah, a little dangerous, but he tapped.
Yeah, so Jackal, not sure who Jackal is, but yeah, so that's kind of the benefit of going with that straight, the inverted udegatame, is that if he releases pressure, like if he wants to relieve pressure, he basically has to fall over his right shoulder. Well, I guess he has a couple of options. He can fall over his right shoulder and take a roll, right, and kind of jump over the hook, right? But he ends up in oh, hey Caleb. Yeah, so it's he could take a dive over the right shoulder and alleviate some pressure. I probably would still be able to finish the armbar from top, to be quite honest with you. But that would be an option for him. His other option, which is arguably the best option, would be to continue to drive his head over my head. So shove his arm deeper into the trap, so to speak. And it actually will reduce the tension on his elbow.
Yeah, it's like booting in on a straight ankle.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you caught me in one of these pretty recently, like within the last month or two, and yeah, I thought I had the wiggle room to yank the arm out, and it was such, you never have the wiggle room, at least not against you. It tightens up real fast as you're trying to yank that arm out, so always a bad move. Skip ahead a little bit.
Yeah, and once you get relative, did you start with gable gripping over the shoulder and then walk it down the elbow? Yeah, so I always set these up, and this is just the way that I do it. I always set it up with the intention to shoulder crunch. See how I get my elbow to the ceiling? That my intention is to lock down the shoulder, and then I gauge it based off of my opponent's reaction how I'll be able to do this. I always want to get on my left hip, so like the opposite hip of the elbow that I'm using to attack. And then again, that's to generate the sweep. But see how he's immediately out of the shoulder crunch, which gives me the elbow. So he's basically allowing me to slide down to the by extracting his arm, just like what Matt said. He's kind of inadvertently giving it to me by reducing the pressure on his shoulder.
So yeah, that's see it a little better in slow mo there. Damn, he tapped and you kept going, dude.
What's that?
Said he tapped and you kept going. That was cruel.
Who did?
I think John's hand like lightly bounced off the mat. Let's see.
Oh.
Right here. See? No. You're fine. No.
I kept asking him if he was good, and then he tells me afterward that he's good, and you shaking his friggin' arm. Hate doing that, but you know, it is. I guess it is.
Thanks for the questions, Caleb. Keep them coming.
Yeah, man. Keep firing away.
Yeah, the rest of the chat should be like Caleb.
He's setting standards.
Yeah. Said all you lurkers. It's like Jason and Jason are going over some leg stuff. We got Joe torturing Aiden. Speed this up
and
a little
Steven
bit.
with Duncan too.
Yeah.
That was an arm? That was an Americana on Aiden from Joe, but with the head trapped.
Oh wait, hold on. Players being stupid. Let's try to grab that real quick.
There it is. Yep.
So Joe has his head trapped here.
Yeah, and he's
driving forward to break the grip. Yeah, so this was like, remember when like Luke proposed to us if we could figure out a way to, yeah, that was nice. If we could figure out a way to get the Americana with the head trap still, like keeping the head in there. And that's, I mean, that must have just been a really tight crank on the shoulder. Yeah, we came up with a, I don't know, 2 or 3 different ways to, you know, suboptimally try to break the shoulder with that head trap. What do we have there? What? I missed that.
Looks like a duck hunter from
a little a violent looking arm drag.
It was gonna be a club.
Grabbed him by the armpit.
That's amazing.
So yeah, Joe needs to focus on getting his legs around Aiden at that point.
Yep.
He was about to rip Aiden's entire shoulder off. Pretty much. But yeah, at this point, you know, Joe's leg is kind of lagging back behind here. I'd like to see that, you know, draw it up behind the head. I'm assuming he has his right leg in this case. Maybe not. It might be hanging out back there.
Like stepped over.
There, now he gets it over. Yeah, now he's in a better spot. Minor detail, but his left leg, Joe's left leg in this position is good, right? He's kind of what we call windshield wiper it behind the back, where his shin's parallel to his back. As he goes to sit back, he flares his leg out like this, right? And like, I think I know what he's thinking. Like he's gonna go back, you know, and sit backwards, right? But you don't want to sit over your leg when it's flared out like this. That's really, I mean, that could be a little sketchy for your knee. Keep it behind the guy's back, right? Pull it in close to it, and then sit over it that way instead of trying to wipe it around, you know, and give yourself room to fall back. It's really easy to just sit to your butt with your leg. Damn, he's like kicking his arms apart.
There he is.
And then yeah, classic grip break there, using the body side leg, in this case Joe's right leg, to break that grip and extend. Let's fast forward a little bit.
So I'm curious, like, I wonder how is let's see how Jason handles the lockdown. I didn't notice. So basically, oh well, I guess time just runs out, so it's not worth looking at.
Yeah, not really doing much to free the leg at the moment. I saw him hopping around there trying to get out of it. All right, so you and Sam, Ronnie and Steve. I didn't mix you up, Caleb. It doesn't count if you're both on screen. And I'm not going back, so I'm going to assume you guys are both on screen. Dude, we have to keep track of like 70 different students' names, all right? And all of you kids that are in your 20s are named 3 different things, so you can't be mad at me.
You've room for like 5 names.
Yeah.
When I learn a new one, I forget an old one.
Yeah, I have to learn so many names. I called James Brandon earlier. Get off my back. And they started on the same day, so I have an excuse for that too. So, little detail with Austin back here. So he's really heavy. Like, look where his head is in this version of side control he's got, right? He's trying to trap my arm, but his head is way outside of my body, which makes it possible for me to do the shoulder push that I do to him right here. I get my arm free, I get a little V grip right in his shoulder, and I pretty much just do a sit-up, right? And I stiff arm my arm out. I think some people don't necessarily go to this, one, because they don't know how easy it is, and 2, there can be some trepidation because you're extending your arm out, and you know, as a general rule, extending your own limbs is kind of a bad idea. But like you could see in this case, you know, he's falling to his back, his legs are, you know, they're over my ribs, kind of behind me, so I'm not too worried about him swinging around on an arm bar. And then I sit up and take side control, right? So always a good option to look for. Pretty effortless side control escape, in my opinion. But anytime a guy's way over with his head, like far over your body, you can typically hit that. Oh, and now Caleb and Aiden are fighting, so I'm not even going to watch that one because I'm going to mess that all up. Austin really attacking the legs. So yeah, I know we've talked about it a bit recently, but with leg attacks, you know, like one of the best things you can do is just stay composed right off the bat, right? And like that's where, you know, Austin attacked a straight ankle, and I am not like you or Luke, where like I don't play around with straight ankles. You guys will let people just crank your shit all day. I don't do that. Like even white belts, man. Like I don't know. I'm not as immune to them as you guys are. So, you know, they make me move, right? And
Oh yeah.
in this case, you know, Austin didn't have as much, I guess, leverage on me, breaking me down to a hip. He had that, looks like an outside triangle instead of like kind of the standard irimiyashi. So I booted through. I planted my left foot, you see there, just to get safe. And then from here, I'm like, all right, I'm composed, I'm safe, my foot's flat on the mat. I'm gonna make sure I'm balanced, and I'm gonna start trying to try to unravel the leg entanglement, right?
Yep. And from that position, you can counter leg attack quite easily, right?
Yeah.
So, especially from that standing position. So, yeah, I advise anybody who is going through, like, who is being attacked in the legs to stand.
Like Ronnie right now. Getting toe hold.
Yeah.
Toe held. Toe holded.
Brazilian toe holded.
Choe hold.
Yeah.
Alright. Working a north-south position on Austin.
I don't know who taught Steven to invert, but
I wish they didn't.
Kill them. Someone on YouTube had to be.
Yeah. So just so you guys see that we definitely. Oh no, that was Austin getting out of that. I couldn't tell for a second. I was gonna say, I practice what I preach, but it was Austin caught in my guard, immediately working to break guard.
Panic.
He's not standing there grabbing up my neck or trying to like false can opener me or something. He immediately stands, does his standing guard break. That's what we want to see.
Yep.
A vicious sweep on Sam.
She moved really well. I was impressed. This is the first time I trained with her. I think it was her first class.
First in a while. I mean, we trained with her way back in the day before the school opened. She was one of Ronnie's friends over at the other school.
Yep.
And yeah, she had just come back from a long layoff, and yeah. Jiu-jitsu can get a little rusty, but I think once you get those, just a lot of the movements and the principles cemented in, it's hard to forget,
Yep.
You just know how to try to get people off balance, how to move your hips, how to get your legs in. All those fundamentals that we drill like crazy. Once they click, they stay clicked. Speed up the playback. Oh, Austin's trying to buggy choke me in the back.
Yeah, that's right.
This may have been when we, yeah, I think this is when we possibly first started going over this with him. Let me see if I can. I want to zoom in on this. And I'll be honest, guys, I still don't understand the buggy choke especially well, and I hate it because it puts a lot of torque on your knee. But if you're long limbed like Austin is, and you could do it like the Rotolos, go for it. I'm short and stubby, and it I can't just get into it this easily. But it pissed me off that he was trying to do this to me, so I just said, all right, man. So I'm posturing up, trying to get my neck up, kind of like we saw Craig Jones do against I think when he went against Ty.
Ty, yeah.
And then I just go, you know what, you're light. And that was my way out. And I wonder why my body hurts sometimes.
So I'm telling Sam here because she's asking me about like leg attacks and stuff, and I'm advising her exactly the same as what we talked about. Anytime somebody grabs my leg, if I feel like I'm in any danger whatsoever, I'm immediately coming up and planting my foot on that. That's the entire premise of leg attacks is you can't attack somebody's leg if their foot is flat on the floor.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you got to get their butt on the mat. Get their butt off the mat, get their heel on the floor, or off the floor.
Yep.
Cool. More attention to the buggy choke, I think, in the back.
Yeah. I think I tried walking him through it, and I can't walk him through it, then I have to do it.
Yeah. And yes,
So the key with the buggy, the key with the buggy choke is to get, like, just with a triangle, you got to get your ass off the mat. Like, you have to get onto your shoulder in order to, like, I guess get the shoulder, the person's far shoulder crunched up against their neck.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll start here, and then it won't work. So then I have to, like, lift my ass up off the mat. And then once I start to cinch down, I hit the tap. And it's just the opposite of a triangle.
Yeah, I still hate it.
Oh yeah, I don't do it.
Catching up on chat, trying to get out of guard.
That was a nice double by Steven.
When else am I supposed to rest? Yeah, we're pretty convinced that that Austin's the chosen one for the buggy choke in this class.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know what the hell Jason just did at the bottom. They're going though. They gotta be going for something.
Yeah, so I think that was when Joe visited Austin, Texas, and dropped in on the New Wave crew. Danaher taught a class about arm drags, which is probably why we saw that super vicious one on that he did on Aiden earlier in the class. So I think he's. Right. I had strongly encouraged him to go over that. I mean, he went over it with me, like the exact details that Danaher went over, and I told him show everybody who's interested, anyone who will listen. And Jason is certainly a good guy to teach that to, as law enforcement.
So that was a really good sweep by Aiden in the back as Steven was pressuring in.
Yeah.
Close guard, it becomes almost it is a pendulum sweep essentially.
Yep. Yeah, let's go back early on that. So it looks like, actually, I really want to see this, because this means that he might be listening to us. So yeah, he gets the arm across, he goes up to try to trap it. I guess Steven gets his arm back. So kind of a flower sweep, right?
Yeah,
he didn't really pendulum up, he just kind of kept the momentum going as best he could.
Right. It's a good sense of where your partner's weight is, right, distributed.
Yeah.
And being able to take somebody over like that it's not easy, but a sense where their weight's distributed in order to get that, to pull that off successfully.
Yeah, especially since Steven had Aiden's arm trapped behind his back, like he had reached around the back and trapped that arm.
Yep. Let's see if he can get through. Well, and he's in mount, right? So let's see what he can do from there, or how Steven will escape.
Almost looks like he's looking for an arm triangle opening, but
yeah, I think Steven is doing, like, he's very calm, like calmly. I don't know what he's doing. He's waiting, I think, for Aiden to do something. Oh, there you go.
Looks like Aiden had the underhook and was trying to spider walk his arm up.
Gotcha.
So they were fighting that little battle.
Steven's standing, which is good. Get bumped over, but so be it.
Pinches his knees.
Yeah.
That was good.
And then goes into the leg attack. That's right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's. I know I've taught this in class before, and I'm sure I'll teach it again. But you stand up, and this happens to you, right? And this is everybody's fear with the standing guard break, that you're gonna get double ankle swept or dummy swept or whatever you want to call it. And notice as Steve drops, he pinches his knees in around Aiden's legs, which make it very difficult for Aiden to sit up and finish the takedown into mount, right? If Steven just fell flat and left his legs out, Aiden takes mount, right? So that's really bad. That's a sweep to mount. That's a lot of points. But you pinch your knees together, see how Aiden has a really difficult time sitting up into it, and then you've got access to both of his legs, right? He's got to really dig. It may seem like he's got, double ankle, attack on you or something. There's really nothing there that you would have to worry about. And now you get to pop your hips up, elevate his legs, and you have your pick of the two of them. I like to enter into cross ashi from there. But you could also just, so he chose to enter into an arimi ashi, or standard leg entanglement. Some people choose to pass. You got a lot of options from there. All the more reason to do standing guard breaks.
Yep, I think he gets that straight ankle.
Let's jump ahead. I think we just saw another.
Pass again.
Let's see that one more time. So he drops him. Yep, up and over, right to the shoulder line. Looks like you're working a half guard pass.
Yeah, this one.
Austin here.
Trying that. You do this often, but it's something still new for me. I normally push down on the knee instead of doing that scoop grip.
Yep.
And so I'm having a hard time because Austin continues to keep the distance closed on me. Like he's keeping his right and hip like pinned into my hip. So like I'm not getting my hips back far enough.
Yeah.
And I can't hike up my bottom knee to get across the hip line.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really what you want to do there. And now, I mean, looked like you've out opened his guard. This is where you could almost step out, right? The only thing I do differently here is, so you got your knee in, you got your left knee up across his lap, right?
Yep.
I put all my weight over him. I don't let my hips drop to the mat. I sit on top of the guy.
Ride.
Yeah. As a hip pin, right? And there you go. You get to step out. Yeah, and there's really not much there. When a guy has your arm trapped like that, I mean,
he's going for the buggy again, I think.
Yeah, good.
But like you said, the buggy happens when you don't have the leg trap.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, the arm trapped in the legs.
Yeah, there's just too much space on that side if you're doing that.
So I think I'm showing him what I was working and why I was getting hung up. He was opening his legs, but I didn't want to pass like that. I wanted to pass a different way.
Yeah. Caleb, I want to see you commit on those shots. Just drive Steven through. Bang him off the wall if you need to. He's done it to all of us before.
Yep.
Little head push up the middle. One of Luke's favorites. Yeah, watching these two up here, Joe and Jason, like, it's different to see from, nice, from like a third person point of view, like how much tension is really there in these like mutual collar ties, where you're just kind of loading up on each other. That's where guys like Mitch Probably John when John gets a bit more acclimated to jiu-jitsu. That's where those guys with a good wrestling pedigree are gonna just throw your ass around. Like, you can do a lot there, but you can also have a lot done to you, and it's a dangerous spot to be. I didn't see what happened with okay, Steven got the Kimura on Caleb.
He's been hitting those a lot lately.
Yeah, he's gotten really good at not just digging them out and finishing, but even when he can't dig it out, getting the grip and then using the Kimura trap. I think we may have gone over that on one of the recent streams. And what was that takedown Jason hit?
I did not see.
It was honestly just from like what I was talking about, like that loaded up tension, right? So he just kind of fell out of the way, kept him going, rolling.
Kind of like a sumigation.
Skip ahead a little. So this is a good example. What's going on with Steven and Caleb of the importance of inside position, which you always hear us talking about. But notice, Caleb took this big wide step out to the right, and basically gave up all the inside position here to Steven to do what he wants with, right? So Steven opts to get his leg in, sneak through, and start working a bit of a reap, trying to attack legs. And Caleb realizes he messed up there.
Live by the sword, die by the sword. So Joe's doing a really good job, and with all good intentions here, trying to take the back. And he has that hook in. What he's not able to do, or what I'm seeing, like an area for improvement, is you have to lock down the far left when you're trying to go around somebody's back like that. You have to think about them being stationary and then you around them. More so to drag them onto you. And myself included, that's where I fail a lot of times, is where I think that I can literally just pull my opponent and twist them into my here, right? But once he has that lat, I think you see him, he may actually let go of it, but he should be using that to heist his hips up above Jason's hips. That should be the entire goal in this situation, is to remain, chest to shoulder, and then heist his hips above Jason.
Yeah.
At this point, Jason's pinning his hip down on the bottom. Again, Joe's sole purpose at this stage of the game should be to heist his hips up.
Yeah, a big help for that is clamping that top leg down onto the back, but also inverting the bottom knee, like making this knee point to the mat, right? That's a big help in getting that, if I'm thinking about that correctly. I mean, that's often how I try to get up around somebody. You really have to like kind of invert your leg a bit and drag it across the body.
Yep.
Whereas you could tell he's staying very tense in the bottom leg, staying hooked. Seems like it might be a good idea, like you've got a hook in,
right,
keep it in, but that rigidity of that leg makes you immobile when what you're trying to do is go from in front of somebody to behind them, right? So you got to be a little loose to let that happen. And to Jason's credit, I mean, he's pressuring into him. He's trying to keep wrist control there. Joe can finish this by sneaking that knee up the back and sitting to his butt again, not flaring the leg out like we talked about. But Jason's getting wise to this stuff too. He's it's not quite as easy to take his back as it once was. So I know the struggle Joe's dealing with.
I'm rolling with Duncan here.
Yeah, and not that Duncan knows the kipping escape yet, but for all those watching who do and don't use it, this is the time to do it, right?
Yep.
You're real heavy over him. You know, you're not sitting up with posture. If he can manage, you know, you're attacking his arms, so he doesn't immediately have it at his disposal. But right there, right, it looks like he has the right idea. He starts going to attack the hips. But that's the time to kick those legs up in the air and start kipping out of that.
Yeah, he actually does. Like, he starts to kip, and then but errors in the way of trying to like scoot out the side.
Yeah.
And gives me his. He told me the last time that we trained before this that he wanted me to attack him. So, like,
There you go.
okay.
As you wish. Joe waving to the camera.
Yeah.
So Steven's staying nice and composed during the double ankle sweep, right?
Yep.
And that
Oh wow, that was
Right to the
like
back.
that was good.
yeah.
That was good timing.
So notice he's well practiced in bringing his head over a foot, getting his other foot light, in this case his right foot, pummeling his right foot out in the way, right? And he stays safe. Now the guard's broken open and he can proceed as he wants, right? A good case of the use of a standing guard break. And then even better, it happened so fast. Okay, so brought the legs in and then he just closes the distance, gets around.
Yep.
Okay.
So Steven, the kipping escape can be done at either can be done at an angle or head on. It really depends on how your opponent is kind of moving. But generally, like what Matt was saying is that like their head is going over top of your head. So you can take them straight overhead if you want to. But normally what happens as a result of the kipping escape and that you putting somebody overhead is that you'll tend to favor a side because a Remiashu is right there for the taking. So generally, like push somebody over to the side and then shoot right in for a leg attack.
Yeah, I was trying to find a good timing where that happened, or where Duncan almost had the opportunity, but like, you know, you could see here even a little bit of space is created between your hips and Duncan's, and if he could slip his right knee inside to that, you know, that's where he'd have that opportunity. So yeah, I know one of the Ryan brothers at one point was talking about how, I think it may have been Nikki was talking about how they, you know, once they started going over that kipping escape a lot of those opponents, a lot of those competitors rather, would just opt to be put into mount because they would go for the kipping escape. Sorry, I'm trying to find where we were. They would just go for the kipping escape, immediately enter into a heel hook, you know, an outside heel hook, and take the win. So it just kind of became a bit of a crutch. But that was from hitting the kip, falling to that side, and attacking the leg that's, I guess you would call, on top.
here's actually when I was watching this last night, Caleb and Jason is really good, a really good grip fight. You know, like it's always an exchange. Well, at this Caleb is allowing Jason to get grips, but that's what happens, right? Like when you allow somebody to get grips on you, then it allows them to dictate the pace of the match, and it allows them to dictate, you know, like what you're gonna have to react to. You're always on the defensive. But prior to that, they were doing a really good job, both of them, with, you know, not allowing the other to establish dominant grips and stripping grips and making. Really good to see that.
Yeah. Scoot ahead a little bit. Caleb being real heavy on the head. Which is always good. I want to see you guys using that to set up stuff, though, right? It's not enough to just bug the guy.
Yep.
You know, got to use that to set up your doubles. Use that to weigh and unweigh legs. To set up some good foot sweeps or trips.
And like, I mean, don't get me wrong with, you know, I mean, we're what 40 minutes into training, so no one's fresh here. And let's face it, like the standing game, especially when you're doing upper body stuff with, you know, Jason, pretty taxing, you know. But also you got to think that your partner is also taxed, right? Like your partner is also tired, and you know you should always continue to push with those grips and you know, just pushing.
It's a nice little it looked like a gator roll that Caleb hit there. Went off screen, so can't see what happened with it, but so yeah, you're playing a really annoying, aggressive seated open guard, right? Which I always like. I can't tell the white belts to do that enough. You know, you've got your hook in around his ankle. You're sitting up. You're hand fighting. You know, that's a good time to start going for collar ties. The way Duncan's posture's broken down, you're just doing everything you can to throw off the guy who's in ostensibly a more offensive position. But you know, you're the one kind of dictating the pace and almost forcing his hand, right? So when you're seated, it's not somewhere to sit and chill, just in with your guard. It's a good place to be active. It's all about
gripping. Yeah, it's all about gripping. It's all about staying active, like you said. If you're just, again, it's a broken record, right? But if there's two cycles, right? Offensive and defensive. If you're not being offensive, then you're being defensive. And if you're not, you know, so I mean, like, it's either or. There's very little neutral in jiu-jitsu unless you're just like sitting there, right? And you should, if the person who's on the offensive cycle the longest will probably win the match, right?
Yeah, in the eyes of the judges.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of pass Ronnie's trying to do there, but it was garbage.
I know Caleb's trying to set up a gator roll, but I feel like he either lost confidence in how to grip or something there, but he heists back up here and there are a lot of transitions and a lot of attacks to the front headlock position.
Yeah, I mean, the back is fully exposed, so working on Caleb, working on your go behinds from that position could be of benefit to you. I mean, I'm not gonna say stop working front headlocks, especially guillotines and variations thereof, but you always have the back. So if you can block that arm, which you is really what you're doing with the gator roll, you know, you can use your arm to block, your head to block, your knee to block, a V grip to block, like a bunch of stuff. So doing that can get you to the back pretty quickly. It's honestly probably one of the ways I take your back. The rare times it happens these days, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, from the front headlock position, definitely.
Yeah. Great, we got the peanut gallery coming to bother their mother. Jason and Joe are getting after it.
I finished like a mounted armbar on Duncan there. I generally advise, again, when I'm attacking from mount. I remember like back in my blue belt days being so scared to go for any submission because I felt like I was going to lose position. Nowadays, not only do I not give a shit because I feel like I can get out, but like I also don't lose, like I generally don't lose position while I'm attempting a submission because of the like little nuances like attacking from mount. I don't fall to my back, right? I'm not at risk of getting pulled in that position.
Yeah. Just kind of want to see where you started that from. So yeah, you were just from knee on belly.
Yep. He pushes, and I'm walking. I'm slowly trying to get my thigh behind his tricep, and then I step over.
Yeah, and like no, this is kind of a, I don't know. It sucks because you feel like you're doing the right thing, but Duncan's framing your leg, framing your hip. Meanwhile, all you're really doing is using that against him and isolating his arm, right? So as you kind of wedge your leg underneath him and scoot towards him, and he stays on that, he just ends up bringing his arm up.
Exactly.
The real thing you want to do here, or at least one option. I like to try to trap the ankle in an effort to get back to half guard, but you don't do that by framing the hips in this case. I know I'm always big on framing the hips, for mount and whatnot. Here is a case where you want to actually, hands to the knee, and look to either push the knee back between your legs, or like block it and shimmy your hips out to the side to do like an ankle trap. But yeah, framing the hips in this case, you kind of see where it leads to, right? And you're just kind of brutally posting on his shoulders. You're not even really hiding your intentions here.
Yep.
But now his arm's isolated. We're not seeing any hip movement from him, which I get it. This is one. It's an uncomfortable spot to be in. Especially for a white belt. So, his knees are pointing entirely in the wrong direction. He wants to take him from here, point him towards you, essentially, to get the guard back. And then, yeah, to your point, it was just slow, controlled the whole way through. So yeah, Sam's in a good spot here against Cole, which she didn't get to take advantage of, but it's good. She at least got to mount.
And I know Cole's trying to be, very nice and easy training partner, but in those types of positions, I don't think we can't stress frames enough, right? Like frames will prevent a lot of the transitions from happening, and it allows you to get pick guarded positions, and that sweeps up things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even when you're training with somebody who's smaller than you or whatever, frames are it's not a dick move, right? Like you like it's just good jujitsu. So I would advise everyone to use frames as much as you can, whether you're rolling hard or whether you're rolling light. It shouldn't matter.
Yeah. There's interesting little battle with you and Kurt over here.
I thought I was gonna break his leg.
I couldn't tell if you were trying Mikey Lock stuff or
right.
What was
you were
going
talking
on
to me like you were behind the pillar, I think, and you
Okay.
were asking me.
Oh yeah, I was. I was like,
Yep.
are you doing that? But then, so Kurt, goes on a best defense is a good offense attack here. But yeah, you kind of tell, I guess for the casual viewer, with a white belt, this kind of looks really bad for you. But
yeah,
if you notice where your knee is versus his knees, you're pretty much out. Your knee's pointing behind him, so it's
That's
not
right.
even, he doesn't have any real control over the hips. So while he may have full heel exposure, which is, hard enough to get on you, you can't have both with you. I could either have the heel fully exposed and your hips are totally free, or I have your hips completely locked down and your heel is buried. That's kind of what's going on here, right? So that's why you're, staying composed. You peel the legs open. I imagine you probably just get his leg back, and
I do.
Yeah.
And I was trying like hell to do that reverse figure 4 grip. And I could not finish. I could not get it from there. And you can't see it here. I think when you Yep, so you see how I'm switching to that reverse figure 4?
Yeah.
It was so hard, and then I went back and I'm sitting here screwing with it. I'm like, I'm not getting this at all. I wound up switching back to a standard gable grip and getting the finish. He's really not easy to get. Like, at least for me, he's not easy to finish an outside heel hook on.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got some pretty stupid ankle mobility from his days as playing catcher.
Catcher, yeah. But you'll see, because I catch him again here later. Like, you'll see that I am like I'm putting pressure mat with my feet in order to drive my hips in. So it's hip drive that's allowed going over that right there. Explaining to him like how I'm getting such a strong bite on the knee is by stomping my foot and then hipping in. Like you legit if Craig and Gary hadn't gone over that in some of their instructions, I would have never known that.
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to get to a spot with Cole and Sam here.
Yep.
Just to talk about back escapes. He kind of let her have that one. Okay.
Yeah, he rolls very light with her in this one.
Yeah.
Understandably so, and rightfully so, right? Like, that's not a knock. I'm not.
Yeah.
I would never knock anybody for doing that.
Yeah, that came at her request.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Are you attacking? Looks like you were.
Yeah, so this is something that I do quite often. Go back a little bit more, and you'll see what happens with my leg is on on the opposite side of his body. I start out in a rimiyashi. He's trying to peel my leg away.
Yeah. Yeah, for that
and I
cheap
just
heel
high-step
hook.
it. Yeah, and I just high step it over, and I trap his own arm.
Yeah. Nice.
And then from here, I'm using my left foot to mash down on the mat and get the finish on the heel hook.
Yeah, you're like elevating his knee and hip there when you elevate your hips.
Yeah. and it's kind of a it's touchy because if I flare my leg out too much, it gives him a lot of room to start. So you still have to clamp the knees, that kind of slippage, but you have to. So there can be a very awkward angle that you end up in, having to stomp down on the mat, but also your knees pinched together. It's taken me a little while to know how to do that effectively.
So, little thing just to notice, just a good drill. I got Steve and Jason doing over here. Jason was having trouble with the standing guard break, and I'm behind the pillar, going over this with them. But I had them get to a standing position, and basically Steven, weakly attempt a takedown, and Jason fully commit to stepping out of that leg. So if you guys are having trouble with that, you can see from what they're doing right now, that's just a really good way to develop the balance you need in that move, right? And he's continuing to push on the knee as he does it. You don't have to do the move the full way 100% of the time. Every time you train it to get better at it, break it down into some of those steps. If you're having trouble balancing, do what they're doing right now. Just work the kicking out until you start getting your foot or your balance underneath you, and then go into the whole thing. And it looks like we end it with our usual death match. You probably straight arm me in this one.
No, I didn't.
No?
No, we didn't. I don't think we had any submissions in this one. Yeah, so this isn't like a position for us to be in, where you are cutting your angle to sit like in a first case or reverse underhook position, and then I have to do my best to continue to frame and get. I mean, really, my goal when I'm playing this game and going through this is to keep frames on your hips so that eventually I can enter your legs or look for a wrestle up for a sweep.
Yeah.
Those are the two options that I have.
And I think your knees were bad this day, so you weren't wrestling up.
Nope. Yeah, I wasn't wrestling, and you, with your shoulder, like yeah. So I mean,
we're both
busted
broken.
up. And,
here's just a probably one of Joe's. It looked like a really good arm drag from him, but we'll see it in slow mo here. What kind of grip he used? He's trying for it. He's really committing to it. And he switches to the other side.
beautiful.
Yeah, just
Look at that.
and Duncan's trying so hard not to let it happen.
Duncan's a strong dude.
Yeah, he is. So here I'm just looking for that foolishly looking to tie your legs up and just get taken over. But this is, like, honestly, this is kind of a good case of, like, being confident in your escapes. Not that you aren't threatening from there at all, but it's like, all right, you rolled me over. I can immediately get my frames in. And, here we are 10 seconds later. I'm playing in a seated guard. I'm not getting smashed.
Yep.
So that's why we always, whenever anybody asks, white or even early blue belt, just like, what should I be working on? Just practice your escapes. If you have nothing else, I'm trying to do some funky leg entrance.
Yeah.
To no avail. But yeah, being confident in your escapes makes for a really fun offensive engagement.
Yeah, so we got this tie up, and unlike what we were seeing from, like, I'm trying my best to keep good posture here, right? And I don't like what you're doing with my head, so I'm trying to get you back on your back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not comfortable with it. That's not how I want to play it. So again, we're constantly in these situations. It's hard to tell who's on the offensive and who's on the defensive, right? Like because it literally changes by the second on who has the dominant grip or who has, like for me, I'm trying to scoop under in order to bar leg, but you're threatening my neck. You're stripping grips. You're trying to attack at the same time that I'm trying to attack. So for people watching, it could be difficult to see. But now you've changed the game, right? Like now you've scored an underhook. Now I have to address that underhook, and I'm doing that by putting in a strong over.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that.
I didn't like whatever you were doing with it.
Right. So I mean, it's those things that it's kind of, it gets more nuanced, and we also train together quite a lot, so we know what each other's trying to go for.
Yeah.
But I think you wind up passing my guard here shortly.
Yeah, just slipping the knee in. Oh, a little sit back.
Yep, and here I think that's where I lose it. You come in, go around to north-south.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I probably chose north-south there because you did have like your frames in on my hips, which give you less than a second with that sort of contact, and you're gonna shrimp your butt out and get your knees in. So it was just
Right.
all right, keep going until I can pin your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Something good happened there with Joe and Duncan. We missed.
Armbar.
So we got him two of them
Three-quarter.
mounted. Joe takes mount, works his way up. Oh, and then Kurt talks him through it.
Yeah, I mean, so with us training there, like you can see, I mean, we're what 30 pounds apart, right? And you're still able to pin me down to the mat by using a simple pin, right? Like it's there's no strength going on with what you're doing on me, right?
I like to think so.
It's
That's what I would tell
pure,
people.
Pure solid positioning.
That's right. And that was just
This
leverage
is
too.
bad.
Like,
This is cheap.
well, wait, I missed it. Oh yeah, do we just restart? I'm like, yeah. Protect yourself at all times.
Yeah.
I think we're both laughing at that.
Yeah. But again, like, look at the way that you're taking mount. I mean, I talk until I'm blue in the freaking face about, like you're not taking mount until my elbow is fully isolated above my head or above my shoulder line, right? Like, you're not doing this freaking cowboy hike over thing, like going a solid, cross, knee across the hip position. You're driving my elbow up to the top, and then you are safely putting your knee down to the mat to where I have no chance of an elbow escape.
Yeah. And
Because
then
that's the risk when you drive your knee over across the body. If you don't have the elbow above the shoulder line, then I have elbow escape. So I will always be able to pull you, not always, but I have a good chance of pulling you into a half guard by you taking that step over.
yeah, and like my, I keep my knee position, like in this case, it's directly over your leg. I'm not up on your stomach. I'm making it difficult for you to pull that knee in towards me, and then notice up here I've kind of got this like 2-on-1 little hug going on your arm, to keep it isolated until I can go back for my kind of my underhook on your head, cross facing you, and then watch what I do with my own head and arm. I use both to bring your head and arm together, right? And that's when I go for my mount. And even still, like you said, I'm not gonna step over. My foot's still on the side there. I'm making sure that your elbow, this elbow, and your hip are as far apart as they possibly can be before I make my decision to enter mount, right? So coming up here at some point. Yeah. And then from here, if I was any better, I would make good use of that isolated arm. I'd probably try to set up like a head and arm strangle here, and then fortunately for you, time. What do you say? You got a bit more time? Want to go over some key stuff?
I'm good. Yeah.
Right. Cool. Let's do.
The chat's thinning out.
Losers. A lot of people in chat lurking that I'm not familiar with.
What's that?
So a lot of people in chat that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
There. Watching. Yeah. Welcome, guys.
Yeah.
Speak up if you have any questions.
Absolutely. We got Jason and Jason.
And like usual, we'll probably zoom through the gi portion.
Right.
So yeah, let's speed this up. This was from... Okay, this was November, so...
That was a nice inside trip by you.
Let's see. I didn't catch it.
Pulling him in, hooking the leg, and driving through.
Yep. So it looks like I even telegraphed it too. Like you probably saw it coming. I can't, in this video I'm probably not doing much with my left arm as well. I can barely grip and pull right now, so I'm probably going to focus a lot on that right side, working those right side trips. But yeah, I get him step in and then drive and just take his shoulders back behind his feet.
In the back there, you've got Aiden trying the Hizaguruma on Justin.
Yeah. Gavin getting feisty with you.
Yeah, I tell him he's on camera.
God, I wish he could suplex you.
Yeah.
He's trying so hard. But yeah, that's something. It's easy to laugh at just because it looks silly with those failed takedowns from the back, but like that's such a great position to be in. That is really, really worth taking the time to brush up on takedowns from the back. I mean, even if you find that you're not getting there as often, because guys, nobody wants you behind them, so they fight as best they can to like keep you in front of them. But when you do get there and you realize you don't know how to take the guy down, that's a really, really crappy spot to find yourself. So
yep.
If anybody wants to, we can happily go over just some good easy ways to get those takedowns. Change this R&B music real quick. Here we go. What happened with Jason and Jason there? Oh, hard to say. It looked like Bald Jason had an Americana.
We've got Justin and Aiden. Aiden's trying to get... He's kind of just grasping for straws on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, at some point in this, I know Aiden tries to hit a Peruvian necktie on me. So that should be fun to break down.
And now he is pulling a Justin and undressing Justin.
Yep.
See if Justin's going to deal with this lockdown with Aiden. How he's going to handle that. Time's going to run out.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, he looked like he. So he just pulls his foot to his butt.
Yep.
And then whips it out the side. Yeah, that's.
Yep. Perfect.
That's really. I mean, yeah, and Aiden scoops it back up, but I mean
Of course.
that's all you need, right? Like it doesn't take much to shut that down and give yourself a few seconds or milliseconds to do something with it. Get your knee free, ideally.
So me and Austin, you and Gavin, Justin and Aiden. No, they just went. Is this a Thursday? This is a Thursday class.
This is a Tuesday.
Was it?
Or no, I guess
Cole's
not.
here.
It's Cole, yeah, Cole's there, so it must have been a Thursday. So Jason's working those inside trip attempts.
Yep.
I want to see what Gavin just did to me. I think we were setting up arm throws or like a Cianagi or something. Kind of looked like we were trying to work that one of the sorts of takedowns Luke likes to use, just that arm throw kind of thing.
So Austin's got me in. I mean, I'm obviously in the top pin here, but when Austin has that elbow up underneath my, that's really not a fun spot for me to be in. And like I know I'm in advanced and stuff, but that is something that you should be doing at any given time when in side control. Is trying to get your forearm across the throat, bugging the neck to give yourself space to start to elbow escape out.
Yeah, keep your shoulders from getting pinned. Help you turn into the guy. He's got the right idea, right? He had mount on you. Looks like he just didn't have much of a base to keep it there as well. I guess he had half guard maybe.
I guess half, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, never mind. Takes away what I was gonna say. We got Fidel and Jason over here in the corner.
Yeah, Fidel's a good dude. He's feisty for sure.
Yeah.
Drags him down, but doesn't establish hooks, and Jason takes full advantage of that.
A couple of things happened there. I think I tried to hit an Uchimata on Gavin. Pretty poor one. But Jason and Justin over here in the corner. Jason gets a sweep. So Austin's doing some good work here, in shutting down or in trying to combat your standing guard break. Right. So you've gotten up and notice he's taking this scoop grip around the ankle instead of working, from the outside double ankle style, right? Mm-hmm. Which is what you want to do. Ideally, he would try to then, get his hips over your leg, do the headstand sweep. But he has the right idea. You don't just have to grab at the closest limb that someone puts on the mat, right? Or grab with your hand necessarily. And then this is a case of the importance of the bottom leg in half guard, right? It's the last thing that's keeping you from walking around as guard. And it's the first thing I feel like people mess up when they're first learning half guard and we're like drilling. I'm constantly reminding the new guy, like, nope, hook my leg with your inside leg.
So here's kind of where I'm giving him a dilemma, right? Like, you can think of this as either pressure passing, starting the float pass, or threatening a submission, right? I'm kind of doing a couple of them, but eventually going for the submission.
Yeah, stepping over the head for the Kimura.
This is the one-handed Kimura that I like.
Ooh.
Putting his head up against my hip, and it makes it very difficult for me to finish a standard Kimura with his head in my hip. So I have to switch to a one-handed Kimura in that case.
Going for some sort of back attack on Gavin. Trying to figure out what I want, probably.
Trying to get that arm in. You are pinning it in the top body or a top lock. Justin, Fidel.
Yep, and Aiden and Cole. So yeah, I think with Fidel, my plan was to just kind of force him to slow down a bit, like not, we always tell each other, or the new guys, like, we'll go at your pace, and he keeps that really excitable new guy pace, and a good way to try to break that is, force the guy to slow down, right?
Right.
Impose your will on him. Here let's see what kind of takedown I get on him. Just
inside
a real,
trip.
Weak little inside trip. But then now once I get in top position, extract my foot, pinning his hips, controlling him. Typical kind of white belt mistake there. He's hugging my arm as opposed to, like you were just saying, getting that forearm frame across my shoulder line, and that leaves him wide open to the arm triangle, right? You could see the setup from early on, right? He voluntarily reaches, to go for the arm, and then right here is, just all right. I got to get from one side of the body to the other. We all should know how to do that at this point, or most of us at least. We don't have to watch it again. Justin trying to invert and rip your leg off. That's what I'm talking about. Carnage.
So he's actually using his own, or I think it's his lapel, to trap my lapel. To trap my own leg.
Yes, sir. That's what I like. Yeah, man, you make really good use of that, Justin. Kind of like we saw when we were going over Mitch's gi matches, where he was, feeding that lapel to his far hand and like just completing closed loops around a guy that are often difficult to hand fight because they're behind you, and then leaving, giving the guy a free hand that normally would be doing something else, gripping elsewhere. So
no, it was good, and I mean, you can see I was definitely stifled. Like, I was not able to easily outstep him on that one.
yeah, way to keep that arm safe. And there he did a great job of, I mean, so this is the kind of awareness it takes for defense, right? So you step your leg over his head, which is exactly where you want it, and he feels confident enough in his escape to break his own grip and immediately attack that head side leg to get his head back on top. He plants his feet and drives over it, right? Like that's some good defense right there.
100%.
I'm not, I don't know where this leads from there, but that takes a level of awareness and confidence in your defense that you just don't have early on, And then and look at him. You're in mount now, or you're mounted. But he went from a pretty late stage armbar threat, or an armbar escape, to a bad pin, but much safer than being deep in a submission.
And
so
also,
that was really good.
And I had the Kimura set up prior to that. So not only did he do the early, the preventative measures for more by getting his shoulder down to the mat, but then he continued to do their escape on the armbar. So it was a really good sequence.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because if like this was a competition, right, and I saw Justin in that situation, I'm not exactly sure that I would say, undo your grip, put your free hand on his,
advising that.
It's kind of it's a hard thing to coach someone through, because you don't know just how much tension is on that arm. But if you're the one in the battle and you could feel how hard the guy's pulling, and you decide, I think I'm safe here, I'm going to try this. That's really, really good.
Obviously, I really want the Kimura.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can't remember if I get it or not, but he's making it damn difficult for me to finish.
Yeah, and it's funny because he was, he just got his head back to the, a similar position earlier. Out, it's not pinned down by your leg. Right, but now let's see. It's hard to tell what you're doing with your feet in the back there.
I scissored my feet together.
Yeah, and the difference, a big difference here is before, once he got his head free, he planted his feet, drove over your leg and pinned your leg, whereas now, you probably have your ankles crossed, your leg isn't pinned, so he didn't shake the head and arm control or the head and shoulder control that you have here the way he did previously.
Right. And I think we're actually talking at that point, if I remember right. He was asking me, cleared the head, how could I not get out of the armbar? And it was because my leg crossed behind the head. He just, I don't think, was aware at the time.
Yeah. Ooh, snappy little Taitoshi on Jason. I see that again. It's a little off balancing. Didn't do anything with it. So his head's way out front of his feet, and I just kind of slipped in and hit the pull. Let's see that. Yeah, so I had an angle cut on him a little bit. I don't know if I could skip ahead.
That's right, Justin. Yeah, I was asking why you didn't sit up. That's right. Right.
Yeah. So here on Jason, I'm got his head way out front of his feet. Start to sidestep in. See, I'm getting 90 degrees on him. I think he thinks I'm going for that leg. That must be why he stepped it away. And then look how close his base is right now.
Yep.
That was my opportunity to slide in on the Tayatoshi, pull him up and over. Looks so much cooler in slow motion. Looks like I know what I'm doing. Oh, Aiden's murdering you, dude.
Yep.
So like Jason's working that. Oh, he got me. He swept me. He's working that. This stupid media player. Working his like De La Hiva sort of that may have just been a scissor sweep. He's got his leg down. I'm off balance. Or he gets me off balance, rather. And then, yeah, it just slices my leg out from underneath.
Yeah. And then he heists up. Yep.
So yeah, you're shutting down a lot of what Aiden's trying to do here, just with that grip around the back. You flip him over. Let's go back real quick. Yeah, Aiden's legs are way too close together on this Kesa. His hips aren't even on the ground at this point. You've snuck your knee underneath him. You had that hook in the back. Where'd you get that? Yeah, you just got your knees tucked. He's not like, this should not be a spot where he like grinds through this.
Yep.
He puts his hips on top of your knee.
He does.
Gives you the hook. Yeah. Kind of just some bad reads from him.
But then I have him by his arm behind his
Yeah.
back.
And you're just in a Kimura mood.
Yep.
You're not dumb, Justin. You were just tired. You didn't get to stall out and guard long enough to come up with a game plan.
That just looks terrible. I don't know why he lets those submissions go.
What are you talking about? Like here?
That step over right there.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was pretty deep. I don't know, man. If he thinks he's that flexible, he's a young guy. I couldn't do it.
I do like Kimura Day.
Oh, dude, just right around your guard.
Yeah. Embarrassing. Taking my back.
So we'll get through this match, and then I think I'm gonna largely jump ahead. It's almost 2 hours in, so we'll try to find some good matches and some good moves at speed and dial in on them.
Yeah, so I think I do get into mounted triangle mood sometimes. I'm going off the chat Caleb's talking about, and Justin are talking about the moods that I get in.
Oh. spent. All right, let's skip ahead through some matches, see what else we got here. It looks like me and Steven, you and Cole. What's Steven
Cole
do to
fucked
me?
me up on this one.
Steven's a hungry boy in this one.
The leg switching is awesome to watch.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm doing the Brazilian belt line.
Yeah, taking your sweet ass time.
Yep. 6-minute match, I only do 4 minutes. Cool down, man. Yeah. Can you hear me? Oh.
All right. So, yeah, it was Cole in a smashy mood with you, it looks like.
Yeah. That guy starts working out, he's gonna be.
It's his off season right now. He's getting a little thick. Let's see what Steven does to me. It's a nice little body surfing from Steven to get around my guard.
Really nice. But you're gonna get your I was just gonna say you always sneak your leg in with that.
So I got my knee in the hip, just looking for a chance to get to side guard. Yeah, I mean, I'm just framing, trying to slow down his rotation and keep up with him.
Yeah, I mean, Luke went over it. We drilled it for friggin' 15 minutes. But the importance of being able to get your knee in your elbow will save you so much in a guard pass. Like when somebody's trying to attempt your guard, to pass your guard. And that's what you do so well, is being able to connect to your elbow. That doesn't matter where the hell they find each other, right? Like.
Yeah, it's about the only thing that saves me a lot of times. Here I got that shoulder crunch. I'm trying to dig my foot in. I think I paused it right before, but it looked like I about elevate and get a shoulder crunch sweep here. Foot on the hip. Maybe not. Maybe I fail on this one.
You got a head and arm. Now you switch to a head and arm.
And he pops
and
his
now
head
you
out.
went back to the shoulder.
So there, yeah, that was. So when we went over this last week, it turns out your video was blocking everything I was saying because I was down in the corner of the screen. I didn't realize it because I was watching the video. But that's, if anybody remembers that, I talk about how I get my foot on the knee here and do a leg push in order to open up his base, on this side. Like, this is super wide open now, whereas just a second ago, his knee and his elbow were much closer together, which is a better base. But now I extend, I fall to my side, and I take him over. Really useful if you're going against a bigger guy than you, or if you're my size, and you need a little extra help ripping open a guy's base. Getting the belly down. You're hunting for a Kimura on Cole.
Yeah.
You were.
His guard is very difficult. He guarded, and I had to fight from Cole's guard with him. And standing up with Cole is very difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely, he does make the standing guard break a real pain. Looks like he was trying to work some sweeps on you. Yeah, Cole's a real fine example of, the good thing about like just escaping the guard. Like, obviously, if you can sweep somebody, if you can immediately attack a submission, great. If it's there and you know how to do it, great, kill it. But sometimes just getting back to guard is more than enough to do what you need to do to get your game going.
Yep.
I don't know if I ended up finishing this on Steven or not. I think time ran out.
Yeah, because I just got in the guard pass. that. I fought that whole match. It seemed like just trying to pass his guard. Finally got it. Elbows off.
It be like that sometimes.
Yeah.
We got you and Caleb, me and Aiden, Steven and Cole. It's fun watching this as like a stop motion film. How did they get down? All right, Steven just sat the
Cowboy
guard.
choke.
What was that?
Can't see my cowboy choke on Gavin.
Oh.
Probably the only time I've gotten a tap on him. Nice double leg.
I wish.
Yeah.
I really tried. That was a great
Yeah.
sprawl from Aiden.
Yeah. He's taking a chapter out of
Oh,
Justin's book.
here-
Oh, that's the Peruvian.
Yeah, he starts his setup for the Peruvian, and like you know, I'm never gonna let him have it. I'm never gonna let him
I'll
have it.
die on the rights after that.
Yeah. And to his credit, you know, the times that he's attempted this on me, he's gotten pretty close. Like it's been somewhat threatening, but I mean, I'm just not gonna let it happen.
This is a good mounted triangle setup from here on Steven. He's pinning.
Cole probably said an unfunny punchline to distract him. Pulls the head up.
So you got a question. How are you defending the announcer?
So, man, I'll be honest. Like this isn't attacked on me like ever, so I don't have a real good concise way of talking through it. Number one, it's just the way I protect myself in any strangle, gi or no gi, right? It's immediate 2-on-1 to the threat. And from there, like you've gotten some strangles on me recently, where it was tight, and if one hand was not in play, I would absolutely I'd have to tap. Like it would be really, really bad. But I can normally with these things that surprise me at least get my hands in to get my neck safe, and then from there, it's either stalling you out on your grips or Aiden in this case, and letting you realize that you just barely missed it, right? Like I can't tell you, you know, oh, I rolled this way or I did this thing with the Peruvian. You know, you can tell even in this little struggle. Like, I mean, I went for the double leg all the way back here, and he just stayed on it. You know, he started doing his lapel setup, and I was hand fighting that earlier on. He goes to sit. I think this was maybe the second time he's tried this on me, so I kind of saw it coming. I think, but even so, you can see I'm hand fighting. I'm not panicky. I'm not like trying to buck out or like flip over, spastically, I should say, as I roll over. But yeah, there I break the grip, and I'm just like, all right, I'm back out of it. So
He had the arm in for that, right? Like it was.
I think so. Yeah, so he had my right arm in on the strangle. So that, you know, and when that happens, you know, elbowing down. Yeah.
Because the Peruvian necktie is compression, like chin to chest compression. Obviously you have the threat of the choke and everything in there too.
I mean,
largely it's trying to get the person into their chest too.
Yeah, but you want that lapel like ripping across the throat. Oh, Cole. Got to tighten up that finish. So yeah, here's my annoying regard that I do with people, where I actually dig my bottom leg in underneath and then elevate and then get my top leg in.
It's the jailbreak.
Yeah, that's right. You were the one who told me that like 10th Planet had a name for it, and I'm not gonna. I refuse to use that. I came up with it alone, so I get to call it something. I think Aiden had gotten his guard passed by Steven a few too many times, so he tried to go for the hop over. Yeah, there was a little brief example about what we were talking about earlier, using the front headlock and a go behind, which that was just a speed based go behind. I didn't block his arm or anything, but always a good option.
And here oh, that's a nice armbar, Steven. Yeah, that was really good to keep following that.
Yeah, that was good. See how they rolled through on that. Yeah, and there Cole took the gamble of breaking his own grip to try to navigate the escape.
It's definitely dicier in the gi.
Yeah.
A lot more friction. Hard to rotate out of those.
Yeah, I think in one of my early competitions, I was either too afraid to try the hitchhiker and didn't, or I did try it in overtime on submission only. It was a good fight, and I think just because of the gi, the friction was really high, and I was also probably like an early blue belt, so it was garbage. But for the longest time, I was like, I'll never do a hitchhiker in the gi, and eventually came back around to it. You could still hit it. Looks like I was just going for some cheap armbar on Aiden. All right, we've made fun of Aiden enough. Let's give him credit for a fun little entrance here. Oh, but he doesn't do anything with it. You and Cole, or me and Cole rather. So yeah, standing with Cole sucks. Especially when he's taller than you. Looks like you guys have a little powwow over an Eminari roll.
I'm talking shit to Cole, probably. Or you. Both. Probably Cole.
Yeah, that's the worst one with Cole's top pressure and the sandpaper of a gi.
Yep.
Pretty sure I went home with some marks on my face after this. But yeah, I'm usually, I'm probably using a lockdown here to keep him at bay from advancing. Looking like I'm digging on his leg. Here's the thing too, like a lot of times, like just a little bit of action that I'm doing on this leg with my pants grip, it is sometimes enough to distract somebody who's not, who maybe thinks that I'm gonna do something with that, so they react, they pull their leg in, they hand fight, it's whatever to get like this crossface that he's got off of my head, it's kind of simple little misdirection here and there. Doesn't always work, but it can be low risk, high reward.
Cole really does, in this position, he does two things extremely well. The first is that he's very, very good at putting you over to the weak side of the half guard. So it completely starts to nullify underhook that he oftentimes allows you to get on him. But the second thing is that he almost always will put his knee above your bottom knee.
Yeah.
And it pins your hips, and it's just it's very stifling.
Me and Austin. At this point, I'm just looking for some good talking points. think we're nearing the end here.
Yeah, it's 10 after 10 anyway.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll scoot ahead a bit more. Oh yeah, Justin. So this is one of those cases where I don't know what this is called. I assume it's got a name. You know, I remember when you did this to me, and I was just like, we're just gonna circle, right? I don't have an answer as to how I would get out of this, right? It was getting my hands in to immediately prevent the strangle, feeling confident in that, you know, that I remember that strangle, like it was very tight. There was somewhat of a crank going on the neck. It was a very uncomfortable position, but kind of like we've talked about confidence with the hitchhiker escape, having the confidence that, okay, this sucks, but I've got my arteries are safe. I'm not going to get strangled out here. Let me bide my time and see how he reacts, because I don't have an answer. Sometimes that's just how it works, unfortunately. I wish I had a better answer than that.
I mean, and I think when you get into lapel chokes, with and this is true with the bow and arrow choke as well, but following the choke relieves the pressure, right?
Yeah.
Like lapel chokes, like the one that you have, only goes well if you're locked down part of the person's body and rotate around.
Yeah.
Here it looks like you're going for the bow, like a bow and arrow. I don't know if you finish.
Yeah, some sort of like sliding collar strangle. Let's see if you two get any good takedowns or strangles. Aiden looks like he just kind of pulls guard. Passes guard. I think that's about it. At some point we kick them off the mat. But yeah, cool. So good stuff tonight. Gave you guys a lot of footage. So as always, bring your stuff to class. If you guys got any questions from anything we went over here, let us know.
Thanks for
Oh, is that the cowboy choke, Justin? What you were doing to me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that one. I'll have to dig into that a bit more, and maybe we could go over how to never let you do that to me again.
Did you remind everybody to subscribe and to look for alerts and
Yeah. Or whatever you do on Twitch. We're still trying to figure it out. Always trying to get up to more and more followers. Maybe eventually we could be affiliates on whatever on Twitch and go from there. If you're in the chat, you haven't followed us yet, hit the follow button. Keep in mind we put all this stuff on YouTube as well, so if you can't catch it live, you can catch it there. Go follow us on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, whatever people say. I have no idea how any of that works, but yeah, bring any questions to class and we'll go over it then. And yeah, like I said last time, trim your nails, do your laundry, don't be stinky, and we will see you then.